and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson, and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I am in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. It is week 2 of our summer Backlog Attack, and we're playing Mass Effect Andromeda and Dragon Quest Swords.
Ooh.
It's interesting that we've both playing the best game in its respective series.
What are you trying to say about Dragon Quest Swords?
I'm saying it's the best Dragon Quest game.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah. As Andromeda is the best.
So is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, Andromeda the best Mass Effect game.
Yeah, the best Mass Effect game that you've played.
It is certainly the most Mass Effect game that I've played. So,
okay.
Yeah. We'll get to that later, but what if we did a summer Backlog Attack where we just played the worst game in each in its respective series?
Oh, I'm into it. Yeah, do you want to just cancel the next couple of weeks? You want to switch to doing that?
We should play the zombie Yakuza game.
Hey, I've heard people say good things about that game.
That makes one of us.
Jump to conclusions.
We could play the PSP Vita game, or the Vita, the PSP Vita game? The Vita Uncharted game? That's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Never got around to that one.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
All right, good.
If you want to play a video game with needlessly tacked on like motion controls and finger swiping and trying to justify the existence of the back touch, that's the game for you.
Yeah. Oh, the back touch. Love it. Man, I am still in the middle of Resident Evil 6, so I don't even need an excuse. I'll just go and do it on my own.
Speaking of the best/worst game in its respective series.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what other series do I love where I would have just avoided playing the worst game. I don't know. I played Final Fantasy 13. I've played Street Fighter 1. What else is there? I haven't played Mass Effect Andromeda. What's the worst Dragon Quest? Everybody says it's Dragon Quest 2. I played that last year. It was pretty good. What does that say about me? Who knows?
I distinctly recall you saying a lot of people hated this game for a very long time, but you don't see what the hubbub was about. So
yeah.
Interesting. We'll have to make a list. We'll see if there's enough meat on this bone.
Yeah. Wait. We're going to come up with a good title for this event.
What does my boss say? See if the lemon is worth... No, the juice is worth the squeeze. That's what it is.
Oh, interesting. I've never heard that one. You used to work at Jamba Juice or something.
Yeah, right. Just making smoothies all day, so...
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyway. Well, I'm looking forward to this. This should be good.
Make a note. I'll forget. How's things? How's your summer going otherwise? Are you doing a summer fun things?
Oh, no, we're back in lockdown, so
okay.
It's fine. I mean, we're not really, but I am in lockdown.
Amusement parks, concerts, movies, just all those things.
Yeah, no, just doing all those things from the comfort of my apartment.
Excellent.
I don't know.
It's a little wild out there, yeah.
It's I mean, it's not super wild at the moment, but... That's the intent, is it doesn't get super wild.
Yes. Responsible people are trying to make good choices for those of us who are not capable of doing so.
Yeah. I just got some fancy new masks last year when everything was getting started. You can get the super nice ones because they were all sold out. But I got a big box of them now, so I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm good to go. Bring it on.
Excellent. Good.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
thrilling. Not too intense here in Pennsylvania. Things are still happening. Movie theaters are still happening. Music festivals are still happening. I don't know. We'll see. We'll ride this thing out. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it goes.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't want to get too deep and dark here. We're supposed to be an escape from the craziness outside, but
right.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting fall. Absolutely.
Yeah. Should be I don't know what adjectives to apply to it at this point. But anyway.
Yeah.
Enough of that. You know what else I did this weekend?
No.
Is I tried a Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Excellent. I did as well.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
I'm glad you remembered, yeah.
Of course I remembered. I mean, that's another one of those things where I'm just like, oh, I need very little prompting. I'll just go do it.
Oh, it was like, I don't know. I didn't want to do it. I had to make myself do it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to eat less fast food lately, so, I mean, but still, it's like, twist my arm. I'll go to Taco Bell if you really, just put the suggestion in my head.
Well, I mean, similarly, I also trying to not eat a ton of garbage and trying to get rid of some of this COVID weight. So when I go to Taco Bell, it's a treat. I treat myself.
Yeah.
It's a cheat meal usually. I've done the calculation. I have enough calories left in my day that I can splurge a little bit on some Taco Bell. The last
and
thing
if you're
I want
there
to do
anyway, why not get the nuclear colored soda?
As they say, when in Rome. I didn't want to, wash down my delicious Taco Bell with, some strange alien bluish type green beverage, but I did so for the sake of science and for content.
Right, for bringing the good content this week.
Yeah.
I also mentioned that, so before doing this, I had, for the first time probably in 20 years or more, just a regular Mountain Dew, just to get that baseline, because I wanted to remember what that was like. And I have to say, it wasn't as unpleasant as I remember them being.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I felt like it fell somewhere between a 7-Up and a Squirt. Squirt, the grapefruit soda.
I remember Squirt, yeah.
Yeah, it was somewhere between. I don't think I would. It's going to be not going to start ordering Mountain Dews all the time. But it's just I am not just instantly repulsed by this. Aside from the color,
the yellow,
and the fact that I just
Mountain
look
Dew.
like a gamer carrying this bottle of Mountain Dew at the store. It was the worst.
I mean, at least it wasn't a container of game fuel.
No, I gotta draw the line somewhere.
But Sarah's go-to is the traditional Mountain Dew at Taco Bell. So if we're at Taco Bell together, she'll get a Mountain Dew, and I go for the Diet Pepsi.
Okay.
I'm not gonna blow all my calories. Maybe not the best Pepsi, but I'm not gonna blow all my calories on a beverage. Don't drink your calories, is what they say.
Is that what they say?
That's what they say.
At Taco Bell specifically.
Every now and then I'll, blindly reach down into the cup holder and grab the first beverage that comes to hand and take a sip, expecting it to be Diet Pepsi.
Ugh.
And no, it's Sarah's weird yellow death flavor Mountain Dew. And yeah, it's always shocking. It's never quite what I expect it to be.
Yeah, that'd be quite a shock.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd like that.
So what did you think of the Baja Blast?
The Baja Blast, though, I don't know. It was... First of all, it doesn't taste at all like the regular Mountain Dew. Or at least it tasted very little like it. You know what it reminded me of, actually, is there is this... it's like a fruit punch soda called Tahitian Treat. I don't know if they even make it anymore. I feel like it's always been kind of on the lesser-known side of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminded me of that, though. It's you probably had something similar. It's if you go to the store and just get the store brand fruit punch soda, it's bright red. It tastes like how you imagine fruit punch to taste.
like a RC Cola kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, in terms of just branding. But it reminded me vaguely of that, except it was this iridescent blue color. And I gotta say, I'm a fan of Tahitian Treat. I was kind of into it.
I mean, I wouldn't
less
go back.
Enthused.
Yeah, no, it wasn't amazing. No, it was. I think I was expecting it to be just based Baja Blast. I was expecting what did I say last week? More like a pina colada thing. I was expecting
coconut.
Kind of tropical, and it was. I didn't get that vibe necessarily. It was a little Spritey. I thought it was very kind of heavy on the lemon lime kind of vibe. And yeah, I've had what's the Mexican soda, the Jarritos?
Oh, Jarritos, yeah.
Jarritos, yeah. Pardon my hard
French.
J. Hard J. I apologize. Yeah. But some of those flavors are just very syrupy. And I
Sure,
got
sure.
that vibe from this. It tasted very much like a weird kind of like, this is what people who make Gatorade think fruit tastes like.
Yeah, you taste the electrolytes.
Yeah, like Brondo. But yeah,
You
it was
know,
not,
I wasn't. I
it's
think
not great.
another thing that happened is, like, sometimes you'll just get a fountain soda and it is just not as strong. Like they ran out of syrup or something.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
I think I can't confirm this because I've never had a Baja Blast before, but I think that might have happened when I ordered this thing because I was like, oh, this is interesting. I'm not just blown away by the amount of sugar in it. So I don't know. Maybe they had something to do with it.
Well,
Clearly, I need to go back and do another trial run, so I have two, so more than one data point.
sure. No, I'm good. I think I'm going to stay in my lane and continue to do the Diet Pepsi, which will inevitably give me some various forms of cancer. But
Right. So yeah, well, I can check that off my list, I guess. I forgot how we even got on this subject last week. We were talking about Taco Bell game pairings or something.
Yes, I believe that's correct. Yeah, we were talking about what beverage or what Taco Bell item would go best with a specific video game. Yeah.
Right. Oh no, it was the food backlog.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so cross this one off my list. I don't know what's next on the food backlog list, but I'll let you know when we get to it.
Okay, good. Cool. Well, good. A good poll. Because I remember sort of specifically sitting in the parking lot at Taco Bell drinking it, going, I have to make sure we talk about this on the show. I have to make sure we talk about this on the show. And then I forgot until you mentioned it. So good job, DJ.
Okay, good. Yeah, it was all worth it. You did not have your Baja Blast in vain.
Man, I was sugared up for the afternoon, though. It was a lot. It was certainly way more than I'm accustomed to getting in a sitting. So.
Yeah, between this and just the other Mountain Dew, I like, that wasn't even the same day, but I think that was like my soda consumption for the week. It's a lot.
Maybe want to go home and play Call of Duty.
Yeah. Grab your bag of Doritos 3D.
Oh, I was going to say pizza rolls, but that's probably a really dated reference. Has that been updated to 3D Doritos?
Oh, I mean, I thought, Mountain Dew and Doritos is just the quintessential gamer snack.
The yin and yang of gamer snacks, yeah. Good times. We should roll into our summer backlog attack here. A quick introduction for those who maybe missed last week's episode. DJ and I are trying to hammer through some of the older games in our collections by playing one game a week and attempting to sort of clear them out and be able to move on from them comfortably into the future. We are challenging the community to play along with us. If you guys want to attack your backlog, you have until midnight on September 5th to enter our little contest. We would encourage you to post a game over screen on our Discord. You can tweet it to us. You can email us, etc., along with a 10-word, thought on the game. It could be a poem. It could be a limerick. It could just be a funny review. Your choice. 10 words. That's it.
Yeah. I just want to clarify. It's not it's not like a game over screen. It's the end screen when you finish the game. I don't know what that's called. Is that just the end screen?
Game over screen.
Game over? Well, that's like, I feel like
game over
die,
is
when you
game
die.
Over.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, you could post that and just say, like, I'm throwing in the towel on this one. Can't deal with it anymore.
Yep.
But I was thinking
You
like
are
the
dead.
classic, the end's up on the screen, you take a picture and you send it into Nintendo Power or whatever.
It's all the Nintendo games that said that thank you for playing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for playing.
But, I don't know. You can get creative with it. It could be just
Sure.
any old screen.
Yeah. It could be your personal game over screen. It could be the point at which, like DJ said, you've decided you're done. I've had it with this game.
It could be a picture of your TV with a controller embedded in it.
It could be. Let's hope it's not. And for the most amazing feat of backloggery this summer, we will award you the upcoming video game of your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a good prize.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah. One more game to throw on the backlog.
Yeah. If you missed any of that or you just want to hear that all again, you can head over to VGHangover.com. There's a post right at the top where it has all this information and the best ways to get those photos and 10-word limericks to us.
Excellent. So for the summer, I've committed to tackling It'll Do 2, Mass Effect Andromeda, Burly Men at Sea, and John Wick Hex. Both are short, so I'm going to try to do a twofer that week, and Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
So this week I've tackled Mass Effect Andromeda.
And how is that going? I'm very, very curious to hear about this.
So a little backstory here. My history of Mass Effect. I have attempted to play Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2.
Oh.
Mass Effect 1 I thought was not great. And people love it. You like it, right? You're
it's
a
like
fan
one
of
of my favorite games of all time, like top 10.
Yeah. I thought it was real stuffy and too chatty and like kind of fell into its own ass with all of its like stuff, like all of its like world building, and I think it sort of suffered from some of the nonsense that Death Stranding sort of fell into, where it made up a ton of things to sort of fill the world with information and color.
And Mass Effect and Death Stranding, you can't even put those anywhere near each other, though. I mean, I get what you're going for.
Yeah.
But, man, I feel like the world building in Mass Effect, one of my favorite things about it. And I think it's, like, really well done, especially compared to Death Stranding.
I think it's a lot. I think it's too much.
It is a lot. It is. Yeah. It's a lot. I mean, that's sort of what I liked about it, is that clearly they had put so much thought and effort into developing it. But, like, I totally get it when people say Mass Effect, like, they bounced off it in the first few hours, especially. Yeah. Because there are just so many pitfalls you can run into. Whether it's, like, getting caught up in the codex, or if you don't just, like, get yourself out of the big space station you start in, you have the potential to just be, like, stuck doing a side quest there for hours. And if you're not into that, then yeah, sure, that's fair. It's fair that you have a poor impression of that game.
Yeah. And those are the two things that really just kind of rubbed me the wrong way with the first Mass Effect, was constantly sort of stopping to read the codex, which is sort of this little thing within the submenu that sort of explains stuff in the universe. And it's written text entry, so it's like going to Wikipedia to learn about the Mass Effect world.
No, but a guy reads it to you.
I don't remember that specifically. I thought it was a book.
Oh no, there's definitely, that's something I very clearly remember about it. There's I don't know if it's every entry, but I feel like it's probably every entry has like a narration reading.
Well, you know better than I, so. And then that's the Citadel. Is that what it's called? The giant space. Yep. And it's really just a lot of like riding elevators while the game sort of loads in the background.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
It's too much.
It's a lot, and it's quite a gamble to start out your game that way.
And I distinctly recall sort of getting off of the Citadel and going down to my first planet, and something bad happening because I couldn't figure out how like the shooting worked. Like is it a shooter? Is it an RPG? It's been a while since I tried playing it, but I don't remember enjoying it.
Yeah, it can be very counterintuitive, and also just a lot of it is not well designed. Especially in the first one. So I forgive anybody who's just like, oh, Mass Effect 1 wasn't feeling it. Yeah. It takes a certain type of personality to really latch onto that game. It takes a lot of patience as well.
Mass Effect 2 bounced off in a similar way.
That's interesting, because I think that's so... Sorry, I'll stop interrupting. You can go ahead.
No, it's all right. No, I appreciate your enthusiasm for this thing that I'm generally not enthusiastic about. But I sort of remember the beginning of it sort of playing like a cover-based shooter. Something crazy is going on. Mm-hmm. You know, you're being attacked or something, and you're quickly sort of given a gun and hiding behind boxes to shoot at bad guys. And I'm like, okay, but this is more my speed. And then again, sort of the pacing of it kind of got a little wonky, and it was a lot of talky bits, a lot of sort of explainy things, and just could not get over that hump again.
I mean, that's kind of what you sign up for in Mass Effect. Is there, just a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. So got to Mass Effect 3, didn't bother. Obviously, I had been, turned off twice. And then Andromeda just was not even on my radar. But Paul, our former co-host, played and enjoyed it. He's a big fan of this series as well. I remember him specifically saying that you have to go into it with a different set of expectations. That if you expect it to be this sort of technical, sort of RPG-driven game similar to Mass Effect 1 and 2 specifically, that it's not that it is essentially kind of a sci-fi cover-based shooter. And I was like, oh, now you have my attention. I'm inclined to play a game like that.
This one also famously just got blasted at release because there were a lot of technical issues with it, and like a lot of them especially were hilarious when in screenshots on social media that made the rounds very quickly. I remember a lot of the complaints being more about that than like sort of plot and game design specifics. So I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what the reaction to those things was.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure either. I think there maybe were a lot of people who were not thrilled that it wasn't, in any kind of obvious way connected to the original trilogy. I think it's a prequel, if I understand correctly.
Oh, is it a prequel? I'm not sure. I don't even know when it takes place relative to the other three.
Oh, well, maybe not, because there's somebody in it who is a veteran of the N7. So it must take place after. The N7 is the ship, right, in the previous Mass Effect games?
The Normandy.
What's
N7? N7 is just the guy's rank.
I don't know stuff then. See, again, I maybe need to go to the codex on this. Yeah. But no, somebody said, he's a veteran of the N7. He's got his N7 service pistol or something, and he sort of bestows it to you.
Okay,
yeah. I assume that was the ship, but I don't know.
The N7, like the whole thing about that was sort of an issue I had with the direction they took the series after Mass Effect 1, is they just made the main guy, Commander Shepard, they built him up so much to just be like a superhero, essentially, like almost a mythical figure, to the point where like he's got N7 on his armor, which looked very cool, because it's like very futuristic and kind of like weird militaristic sounding.
Gotcha.
But it's like if you look at the codex, it explains it to you. It's just the guy's rank. He's like captain in special forces or something like that. But then all the marketing after that was like N7 everything. There's like N7 Day. I think they had an N7 edition of either Mass Effect 2 or 3. They really just latched onto it in such a weird way.
Branding. Yeah.
It's I don't know. I thought it was a little silly.
There's a bit of that in the game. I thought I remember thinking that this was a prequel, but maybe that makes me think it's I don't know. Maybe then, in light of that information. Regardless, Shepard does not show up in Andromeda,
right?
At least thus far. The hook in Andromeda is that you are a part of the Pathfinder team. You are, the advanced team essentially for this sort of collection of space arcs that have 20,000 people on them, that has left Earth in search of inhabitable planets elsewhere in a different galaxy, in the Andromeda galaxy, as it were. So you have been in cryosleep for 600 years. You're awakened first to be the away team that goes down to these planets, these moons that have been scoped out long distance in advance 600 years prior, to ensure that there are, that they're safe, that there's places where you can set up communities and build homes and then start waking up the frozen people on the ships above you. You arrive and are rudely awakened to find that the planets are a disaster, that they're a mess, that they have crazy weather patterns and lightning storms and, monsters everywhere and lots of unhappy aliens who are also there at the same time fighting over some mysterious pieces of tech that are located in the environment.
I was going to say, a lot can happen in 600 years.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, these people seem very surprised. Oh, it wasn't like this when we looked at it 600 years ago. Right. So, 600 years is a very long time. Worlds change. But there appears to be other elements at play here. These are not sort of, man-made disasters or natural I'm sorry, let me try that again. They're not natural disasters. They appear to be man-made. So you and your fellow Pathfinder team, run around and dock with the massive space station and make connections and meet the captain of the space station who thought you were never coming for various reasons, and on and on and on. So again, much like the first Mass Effect, you get a really, really, really long prologue with a lot of really talky bits and explainy bits. To sort of fill you in on, the lore and the universe and where you're at in this story. It's some interesting characterization. Some people that are sort of like, oh, I like that person. Oh, I'm not so much into that person. So you find, you sort of build kind of loyalties and alliances relatively early. Your character has family on board. Her dad is sort of the chief pathfinder. Her brother is on the team as well, but there is some circumstances where he can't be awoken just yet. So again, you get a little bit of family drama, you get a little backstory between why you and your dad are not so close, and on and on and on. All of this done through sort of dialogue selection trees and things that generally in video games make me less interested.
Oh, really? Okay. I wasn't sure where you stood on dialogue trees.
Not a huge fan of dialogue trees. Some of these are really like polar opposite kind of things where it's I feel like it's just fun to kind of spam like the clearly kind of antisocial and mean responses, and to see what happens to what kind of responses you get, with no level of consistency. Sometimes I'm a sweetheart and just delightful to be around, and occasionally I'm quite quite an asshole to everybody that I come in contact with. And nobody points out my inconsistencies.
Did they not have... I think there was a mode in Mass Effect 3, or like when you started the game, you could pick like a balance between the amount of action and story you wanted in the game.
Oh.
And I don't remember how far they took it, like if it went to the point where they would pick sort of the dialogue decisions for you. But I definitely remember, I'm pretty sure this is true, that there was one mode where it was basically just like, let me watch a movie or something.
This could benefit from that, I think. So you have your giant ship, which then docks with the giant space station that was sort of built in advance and is waiting there for you. There's a lot of interesting aliens on board. One of them is a very tall, like frog-like alien who is voiced by Kumail Nanjiani, which is kind of fun.
What? Okay.
So he started talking, and I was like, I know that voice. And then to the internet, and of course it was Kumail. So yeah, that was fun. And then he kind of gives you the tour, and you meet sort of the captain of the space station, and you do then a bunch of quests, like somebody got murdered, and you're the best person somehow on board to solve a murder? I don't know, but you spend 3 hours running around your ship, back to your ship, onto the space station, down to the surface of the planet to collect evidence, and then you have to sort of prove the guilt or innocence of this person. Someone's trying to sabotage the ship. Again, for some mysterious reason, you, a teenager, essentially, is in charge of trying to prove the guilt or innocence of the person who's... I don't quite understand what's going on.
Oh, but your character is a teenager?
Correct, yeah. Maybe early 20s, but certainly not sort of, if I were on trial in a space prison for alleged murder, I don't know if I would trust, the 22-year-old daughter of the Pathfinder to prove my innocence. Yeah. It was, I don't know. It's weird. It's just a strange set of circumstances. I think they're trying to sort of teach you kind of tools and how to get around and how to, build alliances and how to sort of use your kind of dialogue choices to sort of extract information. You're getting some level up points and stuff like that in here, and trying to decide where to sort of allocate them as well. And those make, collecting information and influencing people a little bit easier if you choose the right things. So it's essentially sort of a prolonged tutorial that, I don't know, I don't feel like the game is not going to be 18 hours of me sort of solving murders. So I'm not sure how how this helps. It just felt like a lot of really early padding.
This is all like the central campaign. This is not a side quest.
I think you can skip these things. I don't. Once I started collecting evidence, I was invested. I have to prove this guy guilty or innocent. Okay. And I thought it was going to be like a go here, collect a thing, come back, and it was over. But like that was step 1 of 9. And yeah, at that point, I was not going to sort of let this thread go.
Oh man, you can't just leave the murder investigation open. Yeah, you gotta
exactly.
You gotta it through the end.
Correct. On and on and on. So again, very talky, very just really kind of front loaded with a lot of things that I feel somewhat pointless. World building, sure, but just
it sounds like you're into this murder investigation, though.
I was a little into it. Yeah, I was not. And the sabotage thing was, again, kind of enticing, kind of intriguing, but it was really, you have a little scanner on your wrist, and it was like, I need you to go around and look for these little control boxes on the ship and scan them with your scanner.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was just, again, teaching you how to use the tools you have at your disposal. Yeah. So finally, I get a ship. Finally, I've made a couple of friends. I have a little bit of a crew. We're going down to the surface of one of these planets that we're supposed to land on, that we're supposed to build a community on to sort of investigate what's going on. And this is when the game kind of gets fun, actually. Yeah. You beam down. They started building a bit of a civilization there, so there's a few people who stayed behind, but it's a mess. Everything's a mess. The weather's insane. Everybody's on lockdown because there's monsters roaming the planet. And nobody trusts you. So you have a lot of guns and a really cool fast car, and you basically zip across the surface of this planet, occasionally drilling for mining resources. I don't understand.
Sounds
but
like
mostly... Yeah, sometimes getting out of the ship and hiding behind boxes and shooting at aliens with big guns. And then finding these crazy alien complexes where you have to go in and, figure out what's happening with the weather because these machines are apparently controlling the weather and stuff. And again, on and on, plot point after weird detail, after tons of talky exploration and exposition. Don't quite have a sense of what's going on, but if the game is now going to be me then going to the other 7 planets that we're supposed to land on to sort of solve these mysteries, to turn off the weather machine, to unite the people and give them a home to live on as they start sort of thawing them out on the spaceship, I'm in. That's fun. That's a cool game that I would like to play. I certainly don't want to do that running around the space station thing again.
Well, see, that's the same problem as the first one. They just gave you so many side quests to do in the first, like 1 or 2 hours of the game. You could just spend, if you accepted all of them, you could spend the next 10 or 15 hours just doing side quests and then not really advance the plot.
Yeah, I think I will take some of the blame. It's definitely my own mistake. I certainly didn't have to solve that mystery or find the saboteur. But these were presented to me sort of as kind of non-negotiables. I sort of felt like I kind of had to do them. And then, again, you start talking to people and you kind of get invested in their bullshit. Yeah. There are a lot of people you can talk to on the ship, and nearly all of them have like a little sort of dialogue option where you can say, so what brought you on board the ship, or what made you sort of sign up for the Andromeda initiative, this thing to be frozen for 600 years and go live someplace else in a different galaxy. And I never pick that. I don't want to know. I'm not interested. I don't want to hear your backstory. And it's probably just going to be another 20 minutes of dialogue I have to sit through. So I would prefer there be a lean, efficient version of Mass Effect Andromeda where in the first hour, maybe, I get to go down to the planet and then just drive around in the cool buggy and shoot at aliens. That's my ideal version of this game.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you just have to be more judicious about which side quests you pick up.
So maybe. So let this be a warning to anybody who is just now for the first time tackling this 3.5-year-old game.
I still haven't played it, so
there you go, DJ. So advice to you: should you roll around to Mass Effect Andromeda at some point in those early hours, unless you're really invested in that stuff, I don't get roped into murder mysteries.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So are all the other planets having the same problem with their weather? It's not like you go to another planet and it's like, what's wrong with you guys? It's like, oh, it's just the weather is messed up again.
A little bit, yeah. I think that's the case. I've only been to like 1.5 planets so far.
Okay.
I've done about 10 hours of the game. So I don't know how you get, and I'm not sure if this is actually how the game plays out. I'm not sure how I'm going to get like 6.5. I think there's 8 planets total. 6.5 more planets of exploration and sort of solving the weather mystery or if, I just do 2 of them and it sort of applies that logic to the other 6.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Interesting.
But yeah, the issues appear to be sort of similar. All of the places that were scoped out in advance have kind of different environments. One is sort of meant to be a little more arid, a little more, think Arizona. One is meant to be a little more tropical, think Hawaii. So I think they sort of picked places that one would be kind of interesting biomes for you to sort of to play in, but also would be sort of appealing to people who would want to move to a faraway distant galaxy to start their life over again 600 years from now.
There's no like Detroit planet.
No, not that I've encountered thus far. No.
Apologies to anybody living in Detroit.
Yeah,
I'm just loving it.
Although when you get to that first planet, it's a little bit crazy, and maybe it feels like, the wrong
maybe that
neighborhood.
was a Detroit planet. Yeah.
Maybe it was. Yeah.
I wonder how it's going to pan out, because I feel like the way they set up the galaxy in Mass Effect 1, and to some extent in 2 and 3, like you had a bunch of planets you could go to, sure. But there were only like 3 or 4 sort of major sort of like episodes that you'd run into. And the other planets would be like, well, there's some stuff we can mine here. There's maybe a side quest or 2, but there's really like not a whole lot going on. There's no multi-hour sort of series of quests to go through. So I wonder if it'll pan out more like that.
I wonder, yeah. I mean, it does feel like, again, now that I'm sort of on the planet and driving around in my cool buggy doing stuff, that there are some sort of efficiencies built to it. Like, we don't have to, you're not mining. It's not, Red Faction. You're not out there with a hammer chipping away at rocks. Mm-hmm. You deploy a mining drone when the sensor goes off on your ship and it launches a thing into the air. And then you can drive away and it will continue to mine in your absence. Yeah. So there's fun little sort of like expeditious things like that. You at some point you're sort of leaving the space station and making your way to kind of that first planet. There you get kind of a map of the galaxy with little star points on it, and so I'll stop at the nearest one on my way, and it doesn't actually give you the option to sort of land on the surface. You just sort of scan it from above, and it's sort of it's rich in unobtainium or whatever, and you can sort of hit a button and it sends a little drone down to the surface and it will mine those resources for you while you fly off to the other planet that actually you can land on and drive around and do stuff.
Right.
So there's little things, it's padding. I've not used crafting at all. I feel like the weapons that they've given me thus far are competent, and I keep finding mods for them that I can sort of chuck in that make them more interesting, or put a scope on them and stuff like that. I have not found a circumstance yet where I'm like, geez, I really wish I could build a giant rocket launcher from all of these parts that I'm mining here. And there's no like base building, so it's not like you're collecting all of this carbon and stuff to like, expand your spaceship or get a faster space buggy or anything like that. I don't know where that stuff is going. It just sort of feels like a task.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're at a disadvantage not having played, or having played little of the previous Mass Effect games? Like, do you understand everything that people are talking about?
A little bit. There's the different sort of races, I guess, of aliens on the space station. Some of them seem to have problems with each other. Mm-hmm. There's the tall, skinny, sort of frog-like aliens, and there's the chubbier, lizardy, also sort of frog-like ones that have like big armor kits on and stuff. And the tall, skinny ones seem to be a little racist towards the short, frog-like ones. In fact, that they would like, I don't want one of them on my team and stuff like that, this person said. And I'm like, oh, there's something there. I don't know what the story is. Perhaps if I'd played other Mass Effect games, I would understand why these two types of aliens strongly dislike each other. But that's kind of been the only place that I've really felt like I'm at a bit of a disadvantage.
Okay.
In general, it does sort of, I think, assume that maybe you're coming to this fresh. gives you some resources. And like I said, it's very explainy. People love talking your ear off about stuff, about space politics.
I thought that seemed like it would be potentially an advantage this game would have over the previous Mass Effects, is that like the first three, since they were part of a continuous storyline, like by the third one, you really had to have some kind of, or like hopefully you had some experience or knowledge of what had happened in the previous games. But this one felt like an opportunity that's like, oh, we're going to a different galaxy. It's going to be in a different time period somehow. So we can like have kind of a fresh start. I mean, there'll be some familiar stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But I imagine, I don't know how well they actually carry it out in this, like how different it feels. I've heard, like, one of the things I have heard about this game is that some people were saying that maybe it's a little too much like the previous ones. Like, there maybe too many familiar faces and, like, races that you end up meeting.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'd be curious to see how much they kind of expand the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm certainly not in a position, obviously, to be able to sort of weigh in on that, so I'm not sure.
Interesting. It does seem like it's if you didn't play the original trilogy, or if you didn't have any interest in playing it at this point, it seems like you could very easily just start with this one.
Yeah, yes, very much so. I think, I am essentially, I know sort of the pop culture things from the previous trilogy that have made their way into kind of, yeah. Gaming collective consciousness, and what I remember from the first couple of hours of both Mass Effect 1 and 2, which is not a lot, obviously.
Sure.
So, yeah, it's certainly not enough to build kind of an experience on here. So I feel like this is a good jumping off point. I remember thinking sort of as I was kind of driving around in my little lunar rover and chatting with the people on my team and stuff like that I'm like, geez, it's too bad that this didn't sell better or was not sort of more positively regarded, because it feels like there's sort of enough here to kind of start a new series of games. Like, I don't know if this was intended to be, phase one of the second trilogy of Mass Effect, and it just didn't
I'm sure
land.
It was,
so,
or something along those lines.
Why would you not continue making Mass Effect games, right? So, yeah, it seems unlikely that will ever sort of see the light of day based on the reception of this thing. But there's definitely enough here to sort of, continue telling stories, I think.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, so have they ironed out most of the technical stuff? It sounds like you didn't really talk about weird facial animations, or I forget what everybody was complaining about.
No, there is one character, voiced by Clancy Brown, which is kind of fun, who looks a little too like Uncanny Valley, who is a little too realistic, a little too, like, his skin is too textured, he's a little too grizzled, his hair is a little, I don't know, is a little too, like, weirdly glued to his head.
I think that's every single character in the series up to this point. That's like not out of place.
I mean, he's kind of the one that I sort of feel like every time they show his face, like extreme close-up of you having a conversation with him, I'm like, this is kind of off-putting. This doesn't feel natural in any way. Everybody else feels all right. I mean, certainly the aliens look fine. All of the other humans are generally sort of well animated, I think, and are memorable, have a very sort of distinct look, and kind of can be easily told apart. They're very diverse. I sort of respect that about it. It's got that sort of Star Trek commitment to diversity where, I feel like people from all over, different kind of accents, different color skin tones and stuff like that, backgrounds are all sort of appropriately represented across all ranks.
Yeah.
So it's nice to sort of see in the, idealistic future here that we've moved beyond some of those petty things. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's nothing has felt broken or weird or screenshot worthy that I've encountered, and I'm probably playing the idealized version of this thing after numerous patches and whatnot. So yeah, no, nothing like that. I think, in fact, some of the stuff, the outer space stuff, landing on the planet, driving around in the buggy, your spaceship, the ship they give you is just awesome. It's super cool looking, and you sort of stand on the edge, and it feels like a very sort of Star Trek, the motion picture kind of moment where you're standing on the edge of the thing as, they sort of lower your ship down, and it's sort of gleaming in the sunlight, and you're like, oh, this is kind of badass, actually. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a fine game. I think it looks as good as I think, a 3.5-year-old game should look on the PS4.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I mean, I'm still curious to play this. I wasn't sure how I was feeling about it right when it came out.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Mass Effect 2 and 3 after it all, like the dust kind of settled around them. But I really did feel like when this came out, like, oh, this clearly could have used a little more time in the oven. It felt like some of the, or maybe most of the complaints about it were a little unfair to the team. And it's sad. I mean, it really does seem like this it kind of set the series to an early grave. I'm not sure what's going on with it now.
Yeah. Yeah, from my perspective, and again, for listeners who maybe are coming to kind of Mass Effect cold, Paul's recommendation that this is just a sort of an outer space cover-based shooter is not entirely accurate. It's still, those first 3 or 4 hours are rough. There is still a lot of like Mass Effect-y, like very talky sci-fi nonsense that it sort of packs into the early hours. It really suffers from pacing in a pretty significant way. But once you get through that, and again, give you your ship, you land on the planet, you get the cool little buggy and start driving around kind of like shooting at enemies and solving mysteries. It's Scooby-Doo, essentially. It feels like a game that I would recommend easily, and sort of pushes all the right buttons for me. There's still, you're still upgrading your characters, you're still building new weapons, you're still doing lots of exploration. You have a team now. There's 3 people following you around. You're giving them different directions. Some of the gunfights are really fun. You're kind of taking on these big complexes, and you're sending people to go. You go to the high ground. You come up from behind, and you're sort of like tapping these little controls in and giving them directions and stuff, while you're using your little superpowers and your mega gun to sort of wipe out enemies. And all of that stuff is tons of fun. Would highly recommend. It's just that, just weird pacing decisions made here that sort of seem kind of emblematic of maybe the Mass Effect series in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much of that is just like not the most thought out design decisions, and just like how much of it is like, oh, that's how we make a game at BioWare. It's like we spend a lot of time just establishing the scenario and then just cut people loose and let them do their thing.
It does. Yeah, maybe that is sort of the house brand. I've not played enough BioWare games to know that for a fact, but it seems kind of like they're in good company with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could see how it could be off-putting to somebody coming in relatively blind to this.
Yeah. I mean, making this game has to be a bit of a thankful task. You sort of, one of the most, adored video game developers, one of their most probably adored video game series. How do you sort of restart that? How do you present that new to the gaming world?
Yeah.
I don't know if they were ever going to win. I don't know if they were ever going to appease everybody. If you hem too close to what came before, you run the risk of just being accused of making a remake. If you deviate too far, well, you lost track of what made the game special. It feels like they're kind of threading a line somewhere in between, and for me, it just feels sort of aimless and kind of wishy-washy. But if you come to this having played previous Mass Effect games, maybe that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, I feel like that is what the average BioWare fan wants, the average Mass Effect fan. I would be thrilled if they just like completely flipped the formula around, because they already made 3 of those games. So let's see some new stuff. But at the same time, like, it's been a while. I could see myself getting into a very familiar Mass Effect game again. Yeah,
this might be a pair of old comfortable socks for you then, DJ.
Right. Interesting. Well, this has been one of the most favorable reviews of Mass Effect Andromeda I remember hearing. Interesting.
Yeah, so back to my comment from earlier. This is, without hesitation, the best Mass Effect game, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, all right.
I heartily endorse, based on that sketchy criteria.
Well, so depending on how the rest of this, how you feel about the rest of it after, 7 or 8 planets later, I'd be interested in hearing if you give Mass Effect 1 another shot, but that's a discussion we can have another time.
Yeah. I was a little bummed. I put a ton of hours into it. Like I said, 8 or 9 hours thus far. And I'm like, I have to go back to this. I want to see how it sort of plays out. I want to hit those other planets and solve some other mysterious alien artifact related mysteries. So I'm torn now between sort of obviously having a commitment to sort of moving on to other video games and wanting to see how Mass Effect Andromeda plays out.
We will see.
Yeah. Updates to come.
Oh man, okay, looking forward to it. From my list, I played Dragon Quest Swords, which is I said last week this game has a very interesting sort of origin. And so what I was getting at is when did this come out? I think so 2003. The Square Enix released a game. I actually realized as I was researching this was actually the first Dragon Quest game to come out under Square Enix, so right after the Squaresoft and Enix merger.
Oh, okay.
They released a game called Kenshin Dragon Quest, which was not really like a console video game. It was a little standalone thing that you would plug into your TV, and it was it was a plastic sword that you would swing around to play the game, basically. So it was like a wiimote, more or less. But it was like this self-contained thing. It's like, those little Atari joysticks you could get for a while that had like Pac-Man on them.
Oh, yeah.
You just plug it into your TV. It was like that. But it was a Dragon Quest game. And from what I read about it, it sounds like it was basically sort of a revisiting of Dragon Quest 1. Like it took place in the same Dragon Quest 1 world, and you would do things similar to what you would be doing in Dragon Quest 1. Like you rescue the princess and you go fight the Dragon Lord, all that good stuff. And I always this never came out in the US, but I would always look at copies of it on eBay and think like, oh man, that looks cool.
It does look cool. It sounds cool. I'm looking at it now, and I would play the hell out of this.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, do I want this? Like, is this going to be worthwhile? And I never got around to pulling the trigger on it. So that was too bad. But anyway, years later on the Wii, Dragon Quest Swords come out, and it is essentially a spiritual successor to Kenshin Dragon Quest. Although in this case, it's not a remake of an existing Dragon Quest. It's kind of its own original thing.
Gotcha.
And it's kind of interesting playing it because it is, it's not like an 80-hour epic JRPG like a lot of the other Dragon Quest games. It's a very sort of brisk, distilled down version of a Dragon Quest game. The story is not incredible, but it still feels like you're playing a Dragon Quest game. It's got the same weird sense of humor and goofy monsters and goofy townspeople that you run into. But the whole thing I feel like is going to end up being about 8 or 9 hours long, which if you're still struggling to get through Dragon Quest 11 or any other Dragon Quest game, maybe that sounds appealing. Maybe you sort of want that Dragon Quest flavor, but you don't have 100 hours to devote to it.
Right. Yeah. I would kill for a 10-hour Dragon Quest experience.
Yeah. Well, here you go.
I got a game for you.
Yeah. So
is it turn-based?
So yeah. Aside from the fact that it's like a tenth as long as a typical Dragon Quest game, the big difference is that it's all in first person and you control it using a wiimote. This is originally like a Wii game, and instead of an overworld, you kind of get dumped out onto a map after you leave the town and select from a bunch of locations on it. And then you're dropped into what feels like sort of an on-rails arcade shooter, except instead of a gun, you have a sword. So you just walk along in first person. It's not really like the town you can explore. You can just walk around freely. But once you go out into the field area, you are just on a linear path, and you actually pull the trigger on the Wiimote to just walk forward. And occasionally you will run into enemies. It's not even random battles. You will just encounter enemies at predetermined points. And this is how it feels a bit like an arcade game, is that all of the encounters are always the same. And if you spend too much time in one of them, I've found out that the enemies will actually just run away at a certain point. And at the end of the level, you're graded on things like how many enemies did you defeat, and what was your accuracy with the sword, and that sort of stuff. So it feels like there's some incentive in there to just keep replaying these levels to improve your score.
Gotcha. And therein is sort of the arcadey stuff.
Yeah, so that's very different. But at the same time, there's a central plot line, and there are like 7 or 8 chapters throughout the entire game. So you just go from one area to the next, replaying them if you feel like it. But you could conceivably get through the entire thing. Just do it like 8 episodes in a row.
Oh, and you're like going for like high scores or collect all the things or what are the objectives?
Well, I'm just trying to get through the storyline. I found in a few cases I've gone back to previous levels. The objective is you just see the credits roll. Yeah, I mean, it's like any Dragon Quest game. You want to get to the end and beat the big boss at the end.
Right.
But there are times like I've gone back and because I've needed like more gold, or there occasionally like the path will branch in a different direction, or you couldn't go one route this time because you were missing a certain item. So there's other reasons to go back other than just improving your high score. But as you're doing this, you're getting into these battles, and it's not really turn-based. You're just swinging the wiimote around like a sword, which I'm having a lot of fun with, actually. It's basically just how I imagined that weird TV game to work. Basically what happens is, like, enemies will pop up on the screen, and depending on how you swing the wiimote, you can do a horizontal slash, you can do a vertical slash, wait for it, you can do a diagonal slash, and hopefully, line it up with the enemies so you actually connect and do damage to them, which I'd say works fairly well. I mean, you've played a Wii game before, you understand. The Wiimote is not exactly a precision instrument.
It got better later. They did the Wiimote Plus, right? I think it got a little closer, yeah.
It did, yeah, but this is very much a first or second year Wii game. In fact, I think this is one of the first games announced by Square Enix for the Wii, so very early on in the console's lifespan. And it works, I'd say, like 80% of the time. You do the slash that you want. Vertical and horizontal, super easy. Diagonals can be tough to get the exact angle you want on it. Like sometimes the enemies will line up in a very orderly, like diagonal line, like you're playing tic-tac-toe across the screen, and you're just like, I just need to match that exactly, and I can hit all 3 of them at once, and doesn't always work out that way. But you can do this other thing. You can, if you pull the trigger, if you push one of the buttons, you can focus on a spot on the screen, and then that sort of becomes the central point where you swing your sword. So you can essentially just target an enemy and be pretty much guaranteed to hit them with a horizontal or vertical slash. So it compensates a little bit for the fact that some of the time the Wiimote doesn't really work in your favor.
That's kind of weak.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy. You also have a shield. You can like pull up your shield by pulling the trigger, which is good because enemies will like shoot magic spells at you or throw rocks or whatever. That's very easy because you just use the Wiimote like a pointer. That's very much easier to deal with than using the sword. Occasionally, you will be able to reflect back attacks at the enemy, which I feel like there's a lot of situations in this game which feel very like high risk, high reward, and that there are these attacks you can reflect back. You can also like counter an enemy right before they attack you. So if you like slash them in the middle of their wind up animation, they will get stunned and you can get some free hits on them, which seems really cool. But again, Wiimote doesn't always let you, make the hits that you want to make.
Right.
So it's up to you whether you feel like, it feels like much more of a gamble than it should be a lot of the time.
That's it's weird that sort of a game would expect that level of precision and then not have the technology to back it up.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of developers, or like a lot of early Wii games, that was sort of the mindset where they were just like making the game assuming the technology would work out great all the time, and it really, like, we know how it turned out.
Yeah.
So, that's a little too bad because a lot of the actions you take in this game, like reflecting an attack feels awesome. Like countering an enemy is amazing. There are these big super moves that you can do. Like you build up a meter as you're attacking. What are they called? They're called master strokes because everything in Dragon Quest is a pun for whatever reason. And you do like it's basically just like the stupidest, like most Wiimote thing ever. Like you have to hold the Wiimote straight up in the air, and then sometimes you have to like spin it around. But at the end, you just do a big slash across the screen. And my favorite one is you do like 3 slashes, and every time you do it, it just draws this enormous like you're swinging a lightsaber or something, and it just like cuts a swath through the screen. And you do that 3 times, and you're just like, that was amazing. That was like everybody. As soon as the Wii was revealed, they just said like, okay, where's the Star Wars game where I just have a lightsaber and slash people? That's like the only game they need to make for this thing. This feels like it gets very close to sort of like that promise.
Nice.
So that's cool. So I'm having a lot of fun with it. It would be great if it worked with like the Wii Motion Plus, because if the controls worked as well as like I want them to work, this would be great. This would be such a good game. It would be so fun. They could do really interesting things with sort of like the encounters in terms of like how the enemies are lining up and what attacks they're throwing at you. Because if you could just reliably counter attacks and hit enemies in these weird patterns that they show up on, it'd be so good. But that's not how it works out, because like the Wiimote itself is not very good. So it's unfortunate.
Did this ever sort of get iterated on? Was there ever like a PlayStation Move version of this or anything like that?
No, I think this was sort of the only one. Or they didn't even do a new one for Wii Motion Plus, which is too bad. Because I feel like I don't know how many Wii Motion Plus games you played, but as soon as I got that, what was it, like Wii Sports Resort?
Yes.
Or even Skyward Sword, just games that actually use the plus functions really well. I was like, oh man, this is basically what I was expecting the Wii to be like when it launched. It just took them 5 or 6 years to actually refine the technology for it to work well. Thankfully, the game is on a little bit on the easy side, so the fact that you are like whiffing a bunch of moves and taking damage that you probably shouldn't have if you had a better controller, it's not a huge issue. For the most part, it's very playable, and there are only a few cases where I really felt like I had to go back to the town and sort of upgrade my equipment, maybe go back through a few of the previous levels and gather some more resources. But for the most part, I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's been a surprise.
Cool. So in that way, it's very much like a mainline Dragon Quest game, where occasionally you sort of hit your limit and you have to be a little grindy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that bad, because there, like I said, there are the alternate paths you can take. There's always some sort of interesting treasure which lets you like craft a more powerful weapon, or just find another treasure chest full of gold or something like that. It really hasn't got to the point where I'm just like, oh man, I have to do this level 3 more times so I have enough money to do this other thing, or I just not high level enough. Good. But for the most part, it's been really good.
I distinctly recall sort of a lot of Wii games feeling like sort of the least amount of effort possible. There was a lot of like, attempts for, big series to just have something to put on the Wii. Yeah. And they weren't always great. They always sort of felt like I said, sort of, they did not put a lot of work into this. But it sounds like
kind of felt like the dumbed down version of this other game.
Yeah, absolutely. But what you're describing sounds appealing. It sounds like this is a game that would, that would resonate with me. That this would be sort of a satisfying sort of side path on a Dragon Quest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly expecting it to be kind of like not great, and I've played some bad Wii games, and I don't think this is one of them.
This is not a bad Wii game. Good.
Yeah, aside from Wiimote could be better, but like, combat's pretty fun when it works. The story, like I said, it's not going to blow you away, but it's just a fun sort of Dragon Quest like side story, I guess. You meet a bunch of different characters, and they will join you. They will support you in battle. That's kind of entertaining. You beat a lot of like classic Dragon Quest monsters, which is super fun. All of the like slime enemies. This is a fun detail. Like, if you slash them, they will just get like cut in half, like they're a piece of paper or something. All the other enemies will sort of animate and like fall down and have a death animation, but no, the slimes just get sliced in half. It's pretty hilarious.
Do they split into turn into two slimes?
No, they just
no.
They're done at that point.
Okay.
So it's been super good. I like I said, it's fairly brisk. I was hoping to have it wrapped up by the time we recorded this episode. I'm on the very last chapter, what I assume is the last chapter, because it's like the big bad guy's castle. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I wanted to actually spend a little more time earning money to get a better sword, because I figured that would help out a bit. And also, I was playing this so much this weekend, and I was doing one of the aforementioned techniques where you have to like swing the wiimote around over your head. I was worried that if I kept playing it, I was just like going to dislocate my shoulder or just have a sore shoulder the entire week. It's not
how's your arm feel today? That was
it's
my
not too
question.
intense. Yeah, like I'm actually doing fine. So I'm glad. So I clearly cut myself off at a reasonable point. Mm-hmm. But there were definitely points where I was like, oh man, I've been playing this for a while. My arm is just tired of holding the Wiimote up. Because you remember playing Wii games, and you're just like, I'm not used to just sticking my arm out for this long at once.
Just imagine if this was a 100-hour traditional Dragon Quest experience, and you were just waving a sword around for 100 hours.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be something. But it's been super good.
Cool. Well, it sounds like a delight. Man, I'm sad this is sort of locked away on the. Well, you play Wii U, I imagine, right?
Yeah, I plugged my Wii U back in. It's got the HDMI, so it connects to my screen.
Nice.
It's too bad that they haven't brought it out on like Switch or something. I don't know how the Wiimote or no, the Joy-Con compares to the Wiimote in terms of just motion accuracy, but I imagine they could do at least a pretty good approximation. Or, they adapted Skyward Sword to work on the Switch. Maybe they could just do something similar with the control stick.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I asked about the PlayStation Move, because, I mean, the Move worked flawlessly for the few games that I played with it.
Yeah, the Move was pretty good.
It was sort of the promise of the Wiimote nunchuck sort of realized. So, yeah, it's a bummer that it never made its way over to the PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it's too bad. One last thing I want to say about it is that, so the soundtrack, I don't know if you know this about the Dragon Quest composer, Koichi Sugiyama, one of the worst just people working in video games outside of like Activision Blizzard, who've been following the news. He just has like just really reprehensible viewpoints on a bunch of marginalized groups and events in history. Not a good guy. It'll be great when he is no longer really a part of the series. But it does really kind of give me some hesitation about playing Dragon Quest games, just because, he does the soundtrack for all of them. He just owns a third of the like Dragon Quest as a property. So I'm always kind of conflicted about playing these Dragon Quest games at this point.
No, I've never heard that. That's crazy.
No, just Google them and you'll turn up a bunch of interesting stuff.
No, ignorance is bliss, DJ. I'm done with that.
Yeah. But so in this case, I was surprised to see the soundtrack is actually done. I mean, there are a few kind of signature tracks, like they got the Dragon Quest theme and like the menu theme for some of the older Dragon Quest games. But the rest of the soundtrack is done by Manami Matsumai, who did, I think she's most known for like Mega Man. And like more recently, I think she worked on the Shovel Knight soundtrack. She contributed a few songs to that.
Yeah, very cool.
But it's really good. And there are a few cases where I thought, okay, well, this sounds like, this must have been the guy who like did the battle theme and some of these other songs that sound very traditional Dragon Quest. But no, it was all Manami Matsumai doing like kind of filling in for this guy. So I thought, wow, I had always felt like a Dragon Quest game coming out with a soundtrack not composed by this guy, as just terrible as he is, just like would be missing that Dragon Quest sound. But I think she did a terrific job with this. I think it would be great to see her come back and score like Dragon Quest 12, baby. Just kick out that other guy. We don't need him anymore.
Interesting. Well, that's cool. To sort of arrive at a series this far into it and be able to sort of create something that is, what in line with what you would expect a Dragon Quest soundtrack to sound like. Songs in the key of Dragon Quest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And, a lot of what I hear about Dragon Quest XI soundtrack is it wasn't very good to begin with, except for, the sound or the songs that they've been reusing for like 10 plus years at this point. So, I don't know. It's about time, I think, that they switched them out, for many reasons. But that was a pleasant surprise. I was just like, oh man, they got somebody else to fill in finally.
Excellent. So Dragon Quest Sword's not the worst Dragon Quest game.
No, I don't. I mean, I've never played a Dragon Quest or Dragon Quest game that I didn't like. Actually, no, I don't like Dragon Quest VIII. That's my least favorite. But I think I'm enjoying this more than that game.
Well, good. Cool.
Yeah. Hopefully I will get this wrapped up this week if my shoulder will cooperate, and then on to the next thing.
Awesome. My next thing is going to be sort of the double hit of Burly Men at Sea with John Wick Hex. Where are you going next?
I think it's going to be Mega Man Zero. I'm looking at a couple substitutions, but we'll find out next week. Cool.
All right. Well, if you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should definitely follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would encourage you to go to that website and find out some more information on how you can enter our summer Backlog Attack challenge and win the free upcoming video game of your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you can also find out how to join our Discord, hang out with us, chat about video games and assorted other things. You get a link to that at VGHangover.com too. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you can get a podcast. And help us out by telling your friends about the show.
Yeah. That really helps us spread the word. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We want to give thanks again to Hal Binderman for our intro and outro music this week. Head on over to heavyviper.bandcamp.com and check out more of his stuff. Cool. Maybe Heavy Viper can end up composing for Dragon Quest XII if Manami Matsumai is not available. Who knows?
Hell yeah.
It's just, open season at this point.
I'll do it. Put me in. I got this.
Yeah. Sure. You'd be a better choice than who they currently got.
I have only reprehensible views about music. Nothing else about marginalized groups.
Okay.
Yeah. Questionable taste in movies. That's about it.
That's fine. I don't know if that would come up.
All right, we'll be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. We'll catch you next week. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.